This 15th verse. So he's saying here, due to the termination of monarchical regimes and plundering of the people's wealth by rogues and thieves, there will be great social disruptions. People will be killed and injured, and animals and women will be stolen. You see? People will be killed and injured, animals and women will be stolen. Who are the 5 weaklings in society? Women, children, old people, cows, brahmanas. For example, if an old man is carrying a pocket purse or something, a thief may come and hit him with a stick and steal the purse and go away. Isn't it? Because there is no protection for the old people. Similarly, women, they may be raped, exploited by men if the king is not in control. Similarly, children also can be mishandled, abused, kidnapped. Nowadays they kidnap child and then tell the father, bring 10 lakhs, then only will release your child. They do such things. So in this way, all the weaklings can be exploited. And for all these sins, we shall be responsible. Who is saying this? Samik Rishi. How we become responsible? Tell me. Why is he saying we shall become responsible? He is also taking the responsibility for his son's mistake. As a father. See the beautiful point. Who actually did the mistake? Son. Shringi. But father is saying, we shall be responsible, my dear son, he is telling. Like, when Chatush Kumaras wanted to enter Vaikuntha, they were stopped by Jaya and Vijay. And Lord Vishnu came up to the door and he told Chatush Kumaras, you see, I am very sorry for my servant's mistake in stopping you. And if you wish, you can lop off my arms. Lord told, because my servants have committed a mistake. And there Prabhupada writes that, for example, if you are given a task to do and you delegate it to somebody and it is supposed to be done in 1 week. So I am calling you after 1 week and asking you, Prabhu, where is the task done? Show me. And you ask that person, he says not done. So who will be held responsible? You or him? Now you can say, Prabhuji, I gave it to him, he didn't do, what can I do? Can you say like that? So who will be held responsible? Yeah, because you were given the task. You delegate and get it done or you do it yourself. That is up to you. But you were given the task. Similarly, it's a duty of a father to train the son. If the father has not trained the son and son commits mistake, then the father also gets the blame here, you see. Like that Lord Vishnu took responsibility for the mistake of his servants Jai and Vijay. He said, you can even lop off my arms if you want. He said. So, this puts a very heavy pressure on the leaders that they have to train their people. Sometimes, like I go to Bombay, they tell, oh, Radhesham Prabhu, we want to meet you. One of your man in Yatra, he was told not to go, but he went for swimming. He was about to die, we saved him. So you ban him from the Yatra for 3 years or whatever. So you one of your man, they say. And then everyone talks, Puna only. Puna people don't follow the Yatra rules or whatever. Just because one fellow did it, he brings a bad name, So, this time they were telling that somebody connected to Pune from one of the outer projects. I don't know whether Nagar or some other place. So this fellow, he was found to be drinking chai, drinking tea and also having a small mustache also, and wearing pant shirt all through the yatra. He was told also that you should wear dhoti kurta, but he was, so they were telling that, you're Pune man. So it was very pinching to hear Pune. So, why I am telling you, the blame comes to the leaders when the subordinates commit mistakes. You see, that's why he's saying, we shall be responsible. Which means, everybody who is posted as a leader, and under you some people are put in your custody. It becomes a duty to watch very carefully what they are doing. You cannot say, I don't know. If you say, I don't know, then why did you accept responsibility? That question will be asked. If somebody is given a responsibility, see which is better. Allow a person to commit mistake and bash him and thrash him and crush him. Is that better? Or train him in the advance, in the beginning only, and tell him all the possible mistakes that are likely to happen and not let him commit mistake. Which is better? Second is better, isn't it? But even after training, some people will commit mistake. And then we can think about what to do. But training and education is very important. It's a duty of the father. In school also, correct, if children do mistake, what the teachers do? Straight away phone call goes to parents. You've seen that? Yeah, because they are responsible for the children. So he says, we shall be responsible. Read the purport, please.
The word nah, we, is very significant in this verse. The sage rightly takes the responsibility of the brahmanas as a community for killing monarchical government and thus giving an opportunity to the so-called democrats, who are generally plunderers of the wealth of the state subjects. The so-called democrats capture the administrative machine without assuming responsibility for the prosperous condition of the citizens.
Powerful sentence it is. The so-called democrats capture the administrative machine. Why Prabhupada uses the word machine? The administrative machine means the whole, the assembly of the political situation of a particular country. Say, for example, when you take India, there are MLAs, there are MPs, then there is a president, there is prime minister, then we also have chief ministers for every state, there are governors. So put together it is called as administrative machine, the whole country. So through democracy, people are accepting the post, but without assuming the responsibility for the prosperous condition of citizens. That means they collect the money and loot the public, like they collect tax, and they fill up their pockets, but they are not seeing that the roads are made proper, the sanitation conditions are made proper, latrines for the people, and cleanliness of the places. All the welfare activities they are not doing. Prabhupada saying, they just occupy post for filling up their pockets. Go ahead.
Everyone captures the post for personal gratification, and thus, instead of one king, a number of irresponsible kings grow up to tax the citizens. It is foretold herein that in the absence of good monarchical government, everyone will be the cause of disturbance for others by plundering riches, animals, women, etc.
Yeah. See, monarchy means a Kshatriya king guided by a brahmana, which is the most ideal thing according to Vedic life. And when Kshatriya throws away the brahminical support, then he is called as a dictator. Example, Hitler. Hitler had no brahmana to guide him. The guidance he got from his own fertile brain. So he is called dictator. And if the Vaishyas take the control in their hands and want to rule the country, like in the modern times, economic lords, now Indian commercial companies, they are practically ruling the whole country now. They are saying what should be taught in the schools, what should be taught in the colleges. And they are even controlling religious places. For example, Vrindavan, they are making a huge bridge, and there's a protest from devotees that they are spoiling, they're commercializing whole of Vrindavan. If you see, the dhams are, and they are using money to buy big plots of land in dham and make it very commercial. So because of people with money in their pockets, they are ruling the whole country nowadays. So Vaishyas are ruling the country. So that means what is it? Capitalism. That is Vaishyas ruling. And when Shudras rule the country, what is it? Communism. Yeah. So this Shudra means communism, Vaishya means capitalism, only Kshatriya means dictatorship. But when Kshatriya rules with guidance from Brahmana, like Chandragupta guided by Chanakya, it is called monarchy. And when all the people elect the king and they post him, it is called as government for the Shudras, by the Shudras, of the Shudras. Prabhupada says. Because 99, if you take 1,000 people population, there is one Brahmana, 9 Kshatriyas, 90 Vaishyas and 900 Shudras. So who is the majority? So if you go by majority votes, then what the government is going to be like? Shudras, will they elect a Brahmana? Shudras will only elect a person who will open cinema theater, open liquor shops, open lottery tickets. He will make arrangement for that. He will give them free cigarettes to smoke. Then they may vote for him. So that's what Prabhupada said. This government of the people, by the people, for the people is a concocted philosophy. It should be government of God, government by God, government for the pleasure of God. That is Vedic life. And that is monarchy. So, So the point 15 was taking responsibility for our mistakes. So here we find Samik Rishi is taking responsibility for his mistakes. It requires a great integrity to take responsibility for our mistakes. Because why we don't want to take responsibility for our mistakes? Can anybody say? Why we fear to take responsibility for... When we do mistake, what do we do generally? We try to hide. We try to cheat. Why? Anybody can give the reason why? Give the mic to him. Where is the mic? Yeah?
Because of the consequences it may bring about.
One is the consequences, that I may be given a punishment for my mistake. What else? Yes, Anubhav Prabhu? What will people think about me? They will think I am a fool. Very good. Yeah, yes, Maji, yeah? Because of our false ego, we don't want to admit. Very correct. Our false ego feels it very painful to admit. Yeah. We always want to be in good books of others. We want people to think we are wonderful people, we are smart people. We don't want to be seen as foolish. Yeah.
From the service.
He says we will be removed from our service. That's our fear. Because, you did this mistake, you are out now. That's the door, get out. Then somebody else will be put in my place. So we think, I pray to God that let my mistake not be known to anybody, and I can hold on to my chair until my mistakes are discovered by my superiors. Once they discover, before they shout at me, I'll be gone. You think like that. Yeah, these are all reasons. And also it requires great integrity for one to admit one's mistake. Prabhupada says repentance comes in the heart of a good soul. He says in one place. So, it takes great courage to admit one's mistake. That's why humility is courage. Humility is not weakness. Humility is actually courage. One requires humility to admit one's faults, that I need to improve. So, any leader who has this type of courage will be able to function as a very powerful leader. One who can admit his mistakes and be... Like for example, all of you in your own roles, think about times when you committed some mistake. So at least we should say sorry when you commit a mistake. I will not repeat it again. But if you repeat a mistake a dozen times, same mistake, then people will lose trust in you. Hey, this fellow every time you say sorry. Your sorry telling has become your business now. They will say. So at least we should learn to commit new mistakes, not the same ones. Every time you learn from a mistake, you can commit a second one, third one, and you learn from it. Mistakes are not mistakes if you can learn some lessons from them, it is said. And also, if we admit our mistake, people are likely to forgive us. And we can promise them that we'll try to improve. Like here the father is telling the son, you committed a mistake, I committed a mistake. Brahma Kula has committed a mistake against Kshatriya Kul. Like that he is telling. It's very amazing. Like for example, we are brahmacharis in our ashram. If one brahmachari acts wrongly, say some mistake he commits, I used to tell them, the whole brahmachari vamsh will be criticized by people. And they will say that if one fellow is a hypocrite, then they will say that everyone is a hypocrite. People will criticize like that. And so we used to correct people, we have to be very careful, the way we behave, the way we do things. Same way we are all ISKCON followers. So we should fear that I should not bring any bad name to Prabhupada. I should not bring any bad name to ISKCON by my behavior. Because people see us as ISKCON devotees. So tomorrow if we do some blunder, then people will criticize ISKCON. Like some of our boys, they joined a software company. They are supposed to go at 10 o'clock to company and they are going at 12:30. And the boss is telling, अरे ये कंटीमाला वाले लोग सब ऐसे ही हैं, जो भी तिलक पहनते हैं ये लोग, they are not serving properly, these guys they are always chanting and dancing, they go late night, so they don't come to company in time. Is it a good thing? We are bringing bad name to ISKCON and Prabhupada. So that is why even in our material field of responsibility, we are supposed to be as perfect as possible, and we should be very conscious that first of all I don't commit mistake, but when I commit mistake I admit with integrity, and I should be having the willingness to seek punishment, and I should be willing to bring about a change in future, and I don't repeat the mistake. So many lessons we learn. But sometimes we may not be aware of something we may, while guiding. Like I'll tell you, for example, one boy came to me, and he didn't come to me. In those days, one of our devotees was a professor in a college. So this boy went to the professor and said, Prabhuji, I am a devotee and you are a devotee. I heard that you have the question paper in a floppy. Can you please give me? Because all through the semester I have been working hard to preach. Now it's examination time. We can have understanding between you and me. After all, we both are Hare Krishna devotees. So you can give me. And the professor said, surely I'll give you Prabhu. You are a Prabhu for me. Only thing is, I will just have a word with Radhesham. He said, Prabhuji, Radhesham is too busy, Prabhu. Why do you disturb him? He is all the time running here, there. It's small thing, Prabhuji, between you and me. If I get good marks, I will give all credit to you and Krishna, finally. Like that he said. This Prabhuji said, okay, Radhesham is busy, but I think he holds a mobile. I will just give a call. So he then gave a call to me and asked, Radhesham, if you tell me, I will give it, because I have full faith in you. He said, I asked him, who is that fellow who asked you this? Then he told me the name. I said, you cannot give. So then I told him, somebody may say that who is watching? Nobody will come to know. If you leak the paper to your devotee, who will come to know? But it will injure your integrity. It will injure yourself. Today you are cheating him, tomorrow you will cheat me. Tomorrow you cheat Prabhupada also. You will cheat Krishna also finally. Then I called this devotee and said, you are a very dangerous fellow. You have to give up this mentality, you see. So, yes, this Prabhuji was smart. He didn't commit a mistake. He could have committed a mistake. He could have given him the question paper and then not told me. That could have been a mistake. Or if he told me later, I would have scolded him a bit and scolded the other fellow also. Why I am telling you, there are many instances in our life where we are likely to commit mistakes, because we don't know exactly what is the right course of action. But in case we do commit a mistake, we have to admit. How many of you experience that you fire somebody without knowing the complete truth? You have experience of this? Yeah. Okay, after you know the complete truth, then how many of you have the guts to go and say sorry? Oh, sorry Prabhu, I didn't know the whole truth. Now I come to know, I am sorry. Oh, really? These are great souls. Because generally we feel little shy to tell sorry. Why? That makes us feel very weak. Hey, if you go and say sorry, he will say, see, you don't know the whole truth, and he will go and tell many people, this fellow, without understanding full truth, he fired me. So we think, okay, Krishna will take care, no problem. So we have to take responsibility for our mistakes. One thing I'll tell you, when you are willing to say sorry, you will again regain the trust that you lost. If you really want trust. You ask yourself, do you want a trust with that devotee, or you want to pamper your false ego? Which one do you want? Pampering false ego is very nice. Only thing is trust will be lost. It's possible to regain trust with devotees. When we show right behavior. Here you find, it's amazing. Samik Rishi is taking responsibility, although he did no mistake at all. He was simply doing trance, sitting in trance, and for his son's mistake he is taking it. Take the mic.
At that time,
Hey, he has a question. Where is the mic? Yeah.
Very many times I faced that the boys in colleges are quite criticizing others. For example, they may criticize the teachers, they may criticize the parents also, others. So in those situations, that same tendency, although we may not be within the group, the same tendency is carried on. I have personally experienced that. So how to deal with this criticizing, and we don't want to, but it's come out.
This fault-finding tendency and criticizing tendency, we pick up from our grandparents, parents, relatives, novels that we read, our association and all. We all are made up of so many things. Our personality is made up of. But right now we can observe our own personality. If I have a fault finding tendency, I should take care. Huh? I should keep a watch. For example, like morning to night and Monday to Sunday, we can take a kind of survey. Whenever I criticized, I immediately note down my diary. Today, I criticized a devotee, blasphemed a devotee at this particular time for 20 minutes or 15 minutes. I spoke about this devotee like this. So next time I should not speak. I will try to see the good qualities in this devotee. It's a very strenuous endeavor actually. And sometimes some devotees say, every day give 5 compliments to 5 devotees. Like somebody sang Mangalarti wonderfully. Today, who sang Mangalarti today? Sadaik Prabhu. So go and tell Sadaik Prabhu, such a sweet Mangalarti Prabhu, thank you. So those people who find faults, they have a tough time appreciating others, you know. So what they should do? They should strenuously appreciate others. Somehow or other, you know, think of some good appreciation and go and keep telling others. That is the antidote for fault finding, you know. Fault finding only becomes blasphemy later. So we have to change this nature. It's a very difficult thing, but it is not impossible. It's possible. By repeat, also you can associate with devotees who have a tendency to always appreciate and speak pure things. By such good association, we will gradually bring about a change. Anybody who thinks about these things, they want to change, they can change. One who never thinks about this, they will never change. You are thinking about it, so make a plan, and at least you can reduce over a period of time. If even one, like you know, if like one doctor was telling, if somebody is smoking, 2 cigarettes every day, at least you can start smoking 1 cigarette in 2 days. You are saying, if a husband and wife are quarreling once in a day, they can make it once in a week. You are selling, So it's like it's possible to reduce it, and then gradually eliminate it fully. So there is a method given in Shastra. If you want to bring about a large scale change in your behavior, you have to begin with small change. Little changes you bring. Big things, like watermelon, can you eat like this? Can you eat like this? You cannot. Cut it into pieces, little, keep eating. And then you'll be able to finish the whole watermelon. Similarly, good qualities we cannot get overnight. Little by little we have to acquire them. We'll go to the 16th point. Please read it. 45th verse. Basically, in the previous verse we learned that Samik Rishi was willing to take responsibility for his son's mistake.
At that time,
Heading.
in the absence of a king, the masses become like cats and dogs, pursuing the path of sense gratification and economic development.
Sense gratification is kama, economic development is artha. So only artha and kama becomes the goal of life for everybody, without a good king, Vaishnava king in the top.
At that time, the people in general will fall systematically from the path of a progressive civilization.
What is a progressive civilization? Anybody? Advancing in self-realization, which means, people are progressing towards Godhead gradually. Go ahead.
In respect to the qualitative engagements of the castes
That is Varnashrama. Thus they will be more
and the orders of society and the Vedic injunctions. Thus they will be more attracted to economic development for sense gratification, and as a result there will be an unwanted population on the level of dogs and monkeys. Purport. It is foretold herein that in the absence of a monarchical regime, the general mass of people will be an unwanted population like dogs and monkeys. As the monkeys are too sexually inclined and dogs are shameless in sexual intercourse, the general mass of population born of illegitimate connection will systematically go astray from the Vedic way of good manners and qualitative engagements in the castes and orders of life. The Vedic way of life is the progressive march of the civilization of the Aryans. The Aryans are progressive in Vedic civilization. The Vedic civilization's destination is to go back to Godhead, back home where there is no birth, no death, no old age and no disease. The Vedas direct everyone not to remain in the darkness of the material world, but to go towards the light of the spiritual kingdom.
Asatoma sadgamaya, they say, no? Tamasoma jyotirgamaya, that's what he's saying. And you can go ahead to the yellow blocked portion. The perfect way of life.
The perfect way of life gives all sorts of instruction in things, both material and spiritual. The Vedic way of life does
Like
not...
for example, perfect way of life gives in material spiritual what? Like for example, how should a husband treat his wife treat her husband? How should mother and father raise their children? How should a woman deal with her in-laws and with her husband and with all in-laws? For example, mother-in-law, father-in-law, brother-in-law, sister-in-law. In Bombay, when I was there, in one of the meetings they were saying, mother-in-law means you should treat her like mother-in-law, father-in-law. In-law means out of duty. But in-love means which transcends, which goes beyond duty also. One should treat like that. So, similarly, how should a woman deal with brahmacharis? How should a woman deal with sannyasis? And what are the duties of a woman towards the general populace of even the animals and birds and reptiles and all of them? Similarly, a man as a father, what are his duties to his son? What are his duties to his wife? What are his duties to his parents? His duty to Guru, duty to God. How should he lead his life? What are the do's, what are the don'ts? How he should treat every other woman as a mother except his wife. Isn't it? How he should not grab other people's property. These are all taught in the Vedic life. So he's saying, even to lead a peaceful material life, there is education given in the Vedic literature. Even in material life. For example, you are doing business. What is considered dharma in business? You cannot afford to, keep a very huge profit. You cannot loot the public. And there is some restriction given. Similarly, if you are earning money, you have to give charity to brahmanas and the poor. So both religious, material and spiritual instructions are taught. The Vedic way of life, go ahead.
The Vedic way of life does not allow any man to be like the monkeys and dogs. A degraded civilization of sense gratification and economic development is the byproduct of a godless or kingless government of the people, by the people and for the people.
Yeah. Prabhupada is saying finally, people should not therefore begrudge the poor administrations they themselves elect, he's saying. If you have elected such people to become your leaders, then why do you grudge, he's saying. So here, what is the main lesson we are learning in this purport? We'll see the heading, we'll see. In the absence of a king, the masses become like cats and dogs, pursuing the path of sense gratification and economic development. See, everybody requires a good leader to follow. Like Lord Ramachandra, when he was ruling, there was Ramarajya, we say, no? It is said there would be no diseases amongst the people. The rains would fall in time. The sun would not be excessively hot, or the climate would never be excessively cool. And the grains and the herbs and all of them would grow abundantly. The rivers would be filled with water and everything. And there was great respect of the children for their parents and the teachers and everything. And there was a culture in its zenith at the time of when Lord Ram was ruling. So that's why Ramarajya is often sought by many people. They say, when will the time come? So actually either the king is God himself like Ram, or somebody should be a perfect representative of God, a transparent representative of God. Like Ambarish Maharaj was a transparent representative. It is said in his kingdom there was not a single citizen who was aiming at heavenly planets. Everybody was aiming at spiritual world only in Ambarish Maharaj's kingdom. And his wife also, Shilaya, Tulya Shilaya, it is said, his wife was having equally good qualities like the king. In fact, they both were competing for Vaishnava qualities. Equally competent in Vaishnava qualities. And the king himself, he goes early in the morning to the temple and Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindyo and all that is said. And he was like a father for all the citizens. That all citizens would do everything. Everything was functioning almost automatically. Because everybody saw him as such a representative of God. Things went very smoothly. You all will hear in Bhagavatam, this Swayambhuva Manu, after giving his daughter Devavati in marriage to Kardama, when he returned back, it is said all the citizens were waiting at the gate to receive him, like children receiving the father. And then it is said Swayambhu returned back to the palace very joyfully. It is said he enjoyed his material life strictly following the religious principles. It says in Bhagavatam like that. So it appears like a paradox. How can somebody enjoy material life strictly following religious principles? Which means if you follow Krishna conscious dharma, you can still enjoy life within the limits that God has put for you. And he lived a very happy life, Swayambhu Manu as a king. And he very ideally ruled his citizens also. So you can give many examples. But see, when a king is there, when all things are set in order, everything goes peacefully. And once the king is removed, as he says here, then people become like cats and dogs. Especially Prabhupada says, like you see, nowadays, let us take example of a family. In those days, they used to have a joint family. Correct? There is a very big man with a turban in the top. And there are his sons and their wives and their children, and then next generation, 3-4 generations would live. In those days, they would marry girls by 12 years only. So then somebody gets to see his grandfather's father also. Any of you have seen here your grandfather's father? Really? Both? Grandfather's mother you have seen. Yeah, see, we have some examples here. They must have been joint family or something. So sometimes you can see 4-5 generations, you can see. Because they would get married early, beget children early, and they would have many generations left. And the whole family will have trust in that one man in the top. Whatever he says is final. And he was a transparent person, selfless person. He simply lived like God, like God's representative. And everybody had trust in him. He's a pure person. He is satisfied reading Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavatam, chanting God's names. He just takes care of all the family members. His heart is full of love for everybody. Nobody can ever have distrust in him. People know that he is simply living for others' sake. He has zero selfishness. They are fully confident. The whole family would be peaceful. Nowadays what has happened? When the sons get married, the wives say, hey, Buddha kab marega pata nahi. Better you take your share. Then all the brothers want to take their share. Then they come to city, they join companies, they become nuclear families. Just husband, wife, husband, wife, husband, wife. In those, like I remember when I was living in my BE days, engineering days, if somebody in that joint family, the son who got married, he would sometimes become wild on his wife. He would become angry on his wife. So the wife would tell him, hey, if you are so angry on me, I'll go and tell your grandmother. So I was thinking his grandmother must be like Bhadrakali or somebody. He must be afraid of. As soon as she told, hey, he was begging her, please don't go to my grandmother, I fall at your feet, he was telling her. She said, no, today I'm going to go, she was telling. Then when I went and saw the grandmother, she is deep in a room inside the house, lying practically bedridden. She's a 90-year-old lady, completely weak. Yeah. And what can this lady do to this fellow? She can't even slap him. But what do you think? What makes him fear his grandmother so much? Yeah, her character and his love for her. Yeah, because he loves his grandmother. He doesn't want to cause any pain to her heart. So this was a bond in the Vedic times, you see. But now nuclear families, when husband and wife come, they are living alone. Now Prabhupada says there was Andarvadi, Baharvadi also. In Andarvadi all the women would live. And Baharvadi all the men would live. Because sometimes the men, even in the daytime, they cannot meet their wives. Because the wives would be with other ladies. And the ladies also, they like to talk to other ladies. What did you cook today? What did you do today? They talk. So they like company of other ladies to talk. And once you give them enough people nicely to talk amongst them, so they got friends. And they will be peaceful. But nowadays there is nobody to talk to them. Then the only person they can fight with is husband only. Is it not true? They have no friendships. They are nuclear family. Similarly, the men would be in Baharvadi. One brother is intelligent in business. Other fellow is a muff. No problem. 3 or 4 brothers would do joint business. If somebody is muff, he will not put him in the galla. He will put him behind. Okay, you get this, you get that. So, they would compensate for the deficiencies, helping each other in a family. But nuclear family means there is a threat for survival. If you are not smart, you are finished. You cannot get a job. You cannot earn money. That is the problem of nuclear family. That's what Prabhupada is saying. So if there is no leader in a family, or if there is no leader for a state, and this is true for our voices also, isn't it? Imagine if there is a voice with no PM. It's like a headless body. Your body has no head. Have you ever seen a body running without a head? Somebody can run without a hand or leg still. But how can somebody exist without a head? Because the head puts everything. What happens when you think of a voice scenario? If the PM is not there, what will happen? Boys are likely to get up at 8 o'clock. Coldly. Isn't it? There is nobody to check. Isn't it? Whether you completed your sadhana quota or not. Whether there will be no preaching. Everything will be in disorder. Even in a small unit like that, you see. What to speak of whole country? So this is the heading. In the absence of a king, the masses become like cats and dogs, pursuing the path of sense gratification, economic development. We need a leader. Like, my father, for example, in my home, he was a leader who would always guide us, correct us. One time, my sister's friend came to our house, studying in the same college. So she wanted to come and stay. But she was a very good-looking girl. So my father became afraid, because she was supposed to come and stay in our house for 2 months, because her parents were going out faraway place. She said, I'll come and stay here and study. So she was allowed. But then she would always be, coming and calling me Anna. Anna, Anna means elder brother. Anna, Anna, please, guide me in this subject. I don't know this, I don't know that. So my father would be watching always. So one time he called and told me that beware. I think this girl's parents are trying to get her married to you. That is why they have sent her here. And he told me, you should be clean in your character. You cannot treat her like your sister. I have 3 sisters, but she is not one amongst your sisters. She is from another family. So you cannot be intimate with her. Be careful. I became wild. I said, how dare you doubt my character? Then I told my father, we had about 14 houses. In the last but one house, that was empty. I told my father, till this girl, goes back to her home, I will not come back home. And I went and stayed there for almost 3 months or so. So I stayed alone and I said everything, because you are doubting my character. And my father tried to beg and tell me, you see, I have no doubt in your character. I have full faith in you, but still, I am telling you. But why that still? I was really wild. But now I am understanding, over the years, my father's teaching was very good. I was saved, otherwise I don't know whether I'll be here now. Isn't it? So, yeah. Why I am saying, so my father is the leader in the home. So in the absence of a leader, some mistakes can happen. Is it not true? Imagine if he was not there to correct me, I would have gone in the wrong path. That's what he is saying. The absence of a king, the masses become like cats and dogs. You see? Yeah. Next title, 17th one. Please read it.
One
person's foolish action
brought deterioration to whole world.
See? Read the translation.
Translation. The Emperor Parikshit is a pious king. He is highly celebrated and is a first-class devotee of the personality of Godhead. He is a saint amongst royalty, and he has performed many horse sacrifices. When such a king is tired and fatigued, being stricken with hunger and thirst, he does not at all deserve to be cursed.
He is saying, Parikshit is a pious king. He is highly celebrated. What for he is celebrated? For controlling Kali Raj. Isn't it? He was about to kill Kali. And then Kali took shelter of Parikshit, and then he spared him by giving him some 4 places to live. And also he is a great chivalrous Kshatriya who completely satisfied all the praja. In fact, when he went to meet the public, the public spoke in praise of his grandfathers, like Yudhishthir, Arjun and all. Saratya parashada sevana sakhya dautya virasananugamanastavana pranamat snigdeshu pandushu jagat pranatim cha vishnoh. Like that. Bhaktim karo tindrapatish charana ravinde. They told him, my dear Parikshit, your grandfathers were such great devotee kings, like Yudhishthira, Arjuna and Bhima and all, that Lord Krishna became their servant. He became a Virasana. Virasana means one who carries a sword and goes round and round and offers protection, like Lakshmana was doing for Sitaram in Panchavati. That is called Virasana, So he became a Dautya. Dautya means Shanti Dut. He became a charioteer. Lord became sold out. Your great grandfathers, they were such pure devotees. And people, wherever Parikshit went, people showered him with flowers and words of praise. And they welcomed him to their homes, like children welcoming their father. Parikshit was very celebrated. So he's saying, he's not an ordinary king. He's a pious king, highly celebrated, first-class devotee of the Lord. He's a saint amongst royalty, which means Rajarishi. And he has performed many Ashwamedha Yajnas. When such a king is tired, see, this is very important. Whenever you want to pinpoint fault towards a leader, you should see what is his record. What is his bad track record till now? What has he done? Has he got track record of dirty things, or has he got a track record of virtuous things? You should see that. If somebody has a track record of many wonderful things, then one small mistake can be ignored, like a pockmark in a moon. Is it not true? Like the moon has some black spots, but it is useless to talk about it because it's giving so much light. Like that. So that's why he is praising the king's track record. When such a king is tired and fatigued, being stricken with hunger and thirst, he does not at all deserve to be cursed. This goes to show how Samik Rishi has the ability to see things empathically. Empathic means to stand on the other person's shoes and see things, not only from my point of view. He is able to see from Parikshit's point of view also. Okay, he was tired, he was fatigued, he was hungry, he was thirsty. How can we curse such a person? And that's why Samik Rishi did not find fault with him. He could. So in the same manner, whenever we find fault with somebody, we could also think about why did he behave the way he behaved. We can ask that question. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, when you have to correct somebody for a mistake, 3 things he says. First thing he says, you have to offer a prayer to the Supreme Lord, that I am not supposed to find fault in anyone. But now I am finding a fault only for his good. Please kindly forgive me. I am going to tell him this fault for his good. I pray that I don't have any malice in my heart towards him, or I am not in a mood of ridiculing him, mocking at him. And then he says, try to look into your own heart whether you have the same fault. He says, it's likely you may have it. He says, or look into your heart whether you have other faults. Think about the different faults that you have and tell yourself that I want to get rid of these faults and I also want to grow. So I have some faults and he has some faults. We are all like patients in a hospital. We have come to this moment. So we are helping each other. So think like this, he says. And then thirdly, he says that, you present the fault very politely. Like giving a benefit of doubt. Prabhuji, according to my limited perception, I am observing this fault in you. I may be right or wrong, I am not sure. But I thought I'll bring it to your notice. Like that you bring it, he says. Very beautiful. So similarly here you find Samik Rishi is very tolerant. So what was the heading? One person's foolish action brought deterioration to the whole world. Okay, we'll read in the purport what he says, we will see.
Purport. After explaining the general codes relating to the royal position and asserting that the king can do no wrong and therefore is never to be condemned.
Just 1 minute before I forget this example. Like Bhagavatam says, when a husband roams around in the world here and there, doing his duties and comes home in the evening, he is slightly in a mood of tension. The tension is because of association with material energy, which he cannot avoid. Because if he has to bring money to home, he has to do some job. So the wife should presume this in her mind. She should think that my husband is going to office and facing so many complex situations in his life. So he's coming home. So she should be in a mood to pacify that agitation that he has by speaking sweet words, by offering him something delicious to eat, and giving him a sitting place to sit, and give some cool water to drink, and calm him and cool him down. So this is told by Draupadi. Draupadi is telling to Satyabhama. She says, as soon as my husbands come back in the evening, immediately I give them a place to sit, give them some water to drink, give them something to eat, and speak some sweet words to them by sitting at their foot. In this way, my goal is to only make them happy. I sleep after them and I wake up before them. And then she says how she does the household chores and everything. When my husbands are away, that is the time for me to perform my asceticism. Asceticism means like I chant more, I read scriptures more and everything. But when my husband is in station, I dress myself very beautifully, attractively. Like that, she says many things for a good wife. Now we are like a wife for our superior. Like, superior subordinate is like husband-wife relation also. Superior subordinate. So, many valuable things are taught. Why I told you that? Here we find that Samik Rishi is able to see from the point of view of Parikshit and feel sympathy for him. A wife can feel sympathy for the husband when she considers how he is suffering in the outside world to bring that money. Similarly, the husband also feels sympathy towards the wife. He thinks, she has to wash the clothes, she has to wash the pot, she has to cook in the morning, and all day she is working so hard. Let me be of some help to her. He thinks like that. When both are in this mode, quarrel is very unlikely. That is why Samik Rishi and Parikshit never had a quarrel. Did you ever hear? He just put snake and he went away, and Samik Rishi still didn't feel. Samik Rishi also is a no less ordinary person. He's a brahmana. He can see things through Jnana Chakshu. If he wants to curse Parikshit, he could have done also. Both are very powerful fellows, Parikshit and Samik Rishi. But Samik Rishi is very, very empathically seeing the truth, and he is able to tolerate very easily. Go ahead.
The sage Shamik wanted to say something about Emperor Parikshit specifically. The specific qualification of Maharaj Parikshit is summarized herein. The king, even calculated as a king only.
King only means as a material king also. Even if you see him as a material king.
Was most celebrated as a ruler who administered the religious principles of royal order. In the Shastras, the duties of all caste and order of society are prescribed. All the qualities of a Kshatriya mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita 18.43 were present in the person of the emperor. He was also a great devotee of the Lord and a self-realized soul. Cursing such a king when he was tired and fatigued with hunger and thirst was not at all proper. Shamik Rishi thus admitted from all sides that Maharaj Parikshit was cursed most unjustly. Although the Brahmanas were aloof.
All the Brahmanas
were aloof from the incident. Still, for the childish action of a Brahman boy, the whole world situation was changed. Thus, Rishi Shamik, a Brahman, took responsibility for all deterioration of the good order of the world.
This is a very serious thing. So one person's foolish act causes great damage to all the population. You see? Like for example, Ashwatthama, he killed those 5 children, Pandava Shishus, such wonderful children. They must have become very powerful, they must have become just like Pandavas. But he killed them all. And even Duryodhana was unhappy with this heinous act. Duryodhana said, what did you do, such a foolish thing? How can you kill this Shishus, Pandava Shishus? You have not killed the Pandavas. Somebody performs a heinous act, which becomes a blemish, great blemish for the whole family and race. So I was telling you the Ramachandra Khan example, the whole village suffered. Can any of you give an example that one person did a mistake and it brought a great calamity, either for the whole family or for the whole institution or like that? Can you give some example? We have many examples. Please take the mic. Pat, quickly you should go. One mic here. Whoever has the mic, quickly answer it.
Indra offended Brihaspati and all the demigods suffered. Indra offended Brihaspati and all demigods suffered.
Beautiful example. Hari Bo. Powerful, fitting example. When Indra offended Brihaspati one day, every day he used to respect Brihaspati. One day he saw his Guru coming in, somehow he ignored him. Then Guru went away. And Indra immediately realized the mistake. But he could not find out his Guru anywhere in the world. He went everywhere. He couldn't find. But then he lost all his opulences. Not only him, but all the demigods also. So because the leader committed a big blunder, it came upon all the subordinates also. Everybody suffered. Any other example? Yeah.
Ravana, he offended Sita, whole Lanka got destroyed.
Ravana tried to mistreat Sita and the whole Lanka was finished. Everybody in Lanka had to suffer. Thank you. Yeah? Yeah? Yeah, answer. Yeah, you can tell us.
Ajamila fell in love with the prostitute and he himself and his whole family was ruined because of that.
Yeah. His whole family means, yeah, his mother and father were discarded and his wife was sent back to her parents' home. So the whole family got dismantled because of the one leader's mistake. Very good. Yeah.
Rompal Maharaj.
Ah.
Because of his mistake, whole kingdom was brought.
Rampad, what was his mistake? Rampad Maharaj committed, because of which there were no rains in his kingdom. I think all the brahmanas left and went away, I think, his kingdom. Why they left? Anybody knows? Correct. Now I remember. You see, he was giving charity to brahmanas. So when he gave charity to brahmanas, one very valuable diamond also went to the brahmana. And then he told the brahmana, please show me what I gave you. And he told him, this one diamond I'll keep with me, others you can keep. That was the mistake he did. Because that was a valuable jewel, by mistake he gave it in charity. Actually, it's not a mistake. Ultimately, everything is known to Krishna, whatever you are doing. But when he took it back, that became offense, correct? Yeah. Because of which there was drought. The whole kingdom suffered with no rains. Then Rishishringa was brought to get the rains. Yeah? Thank you. One more?
Yadukumaras, they...
Where is it? Akashwani, yeah. Okay, tell me.
Yadukumaras, they joking with the Rishi. And whole Yadu dynasty got destroyed.
Who?
Yadukumars.
Correct. Viprashapa vimudhanam. It is said they got a viprashap. Because, yeah, that's a beautiful example. The whole Yadukula race was affected because of a few boys taking samba, covering his belly with a pillow and asking, oh, sages, please tell whether he will get a girl child or a boy child. He is too shy to ask you, so we are asking. And one of the sages told him, you will get an iron club as your child. Get out of here. So that is in the 11th canto, first chapter. The destruction of this Maushala Leela. They got a Maushal, that iron rod from when they opened the cloth, instead of a pillow, they got iron rod. They took it to Ugrasena. Ugrasena told, don't worry, children, you go and play. He powdered it completely and threw it in the ocean side. But then it started growing as sticks, which were later on used by Yadu dynasty people to destroy one another. You can see the whole dynasty was destroyed because of the mistake of a few people. Brilliant example, powerful example it is. So this goes to show how responsible we are. If we commit one mistake, the blemish can come on all the subordinates. Everybody is likely to suffer. Yeah, somebody's hand was up. Yeah? Oh yes, yeah?
Whole Kurukshetra war was fought because of mistake of Duryodhana.
Duryodhana was the only culprit. Because of his the whole... But I would say one step further, Dhritarashtra was the culprit. Because, he spoiled Duryodhana by his attachment to Duryodhana. He will be running between Vidura and Duryodhana always. Vidura would tell him the right thing, but he will finally promote Duryodhana. Yeah?
I heard that one of our voice letters had to close down because one boy mistreated, he tried to chase some girl outside.
Yeah. Actually, there were about 15-20 boys staying in a voice. But one boy was found to be talking in the colony with one girl, and the girl's father was a big man. He got wild and he came out of his house and he started shouting and yelling, and all the boys were vacated, thrown out. Yeah, this is a powerful example, practical. Yeah. Yes?
Because of the mistake of Maharaj Yudhishthira, the whole, Panda family has to go out for 12 years and roam about.
Because when Yudhishthira Maharaj playing gambling match, that all the Pandavas were driven to forest. Very good. Yeah?
Because of the activity of Kartavirya Arjuna of taking that cow, Kamadhenu cow, Parshuram killed all his soldiers and killed him also.
All his men were killed because of that one act, one small act. Yes, Sadai Prabhu? Mike is coming to you. Krishna's hand was up also. You had a point? Huh?
Daksha offended Shiva,
Ah.
and due to that there were counter cursing many, and ultimately Daksha lost his head and all his assistants also. Many of them they were killed.
Yeah. All Daksha's other assistants also suffered. Yeah, Daksha's many associates, they also suffered the curse by Nandi. Because Daksha and his associates were cursed by Nandi. That's true, yeah. Yes? Yeah, please.
Child abuse case, ISKCON had to pay.
Very true. A handful of people did child abuse. Because of it, even today people are again and again talking about the 20-year-old thing. Still people are talking child abuse and things like that. And ISKCON had to pay a big fortune, in order to get relieved from the thoroughly court case. And lot of ISKCON temples had to pay a big money, crores of rupees, for this one mistake of a few people. Nice, very good point. Yeah? Yes?
Ramchandra Khan offended Nityanand Prabhu, so
Yes.
the whole village.
Whole village got deserted. Thank you. Yeah? Yes, please. Mistake of who? Diti committed a mistake, yeah, because of which she gave birth to those two fellows, who destroyed the whole world. But what about them? They also got destroyed, no? Yeah. Actually, Diti and Kashyapa are also leaders because, see, Diti is the mother of Daityas, and Aditi is the mother of demigods, isn't it? So she wanted to unite in the twilight time, which was a wrong decision, which was supported by Kashyapa. The mistake was Kashyapa's also. Prabhupada says Kashyapa was weak-hearted and he permitted that to happen. And after that, of course, she began the mistake and Kashyapa perpetuated the mistake. And both leaders committed mistake, and the result was Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. They both were born, created havoc in the whole universe. How much trouble for the whole universe you can see. Because of, so the leaders committing mistake can create havoc. Very true. Now you understand why we don't post people as leaders so easily. Now if you understand this, you will understand. Why we think 2 times, 3 times, 4 times before posting somebody as a leader. Yeah, somebody is showing some lack of character, they cannot be posted as a leader. But one interesting news, Daksha Prajapati got a goat head. And later on, he was reborn again as Daksha. But this time he was demoted to Kshatriya platform. The earlier Daksha was born in which family? Brahmana family. Now the later Daksha was again born in the 6th canto. As Daksha but as a Kshatriya. Who became the father of Haryasha Shavalasvas. Same Daksha only. But again he is posted as a Prajapati. Which means if a devotee falls down, it's not that he is fallen forever. After 5 years or 10 years he can be reposted in the post. Because it's not that a fallen person remains fallen. He can be again resumed to the post. Only thing is, because of his sinful activities to Shiva, offense to Shiva, he was demoted from Brahmana status to Kshatriya status, like that. That also we learn, yeah. Good examples, powerful examples. Yeah. One last, yeah.
Deviations from ISKCON, like Ritviks and deviations.
He's saying Ritviks in ISKCON, the deviants, they are causing a havoc. So many people misunderstand us. They go to Bangalore temple and they misunderstand, and so many troubles because of that. Very good. Thank you. We'll go to the next one. 18. Please read it.
Superiors are meant to protect subordinates, not to curse them, and when one has committed a great sin, one should at once take shelter of the Supreme Lord, and one should not misuse the advantages of birth in a Brahmana family. And Kali Yuga Brahmana boys, be alert to avoid aparadas.
So the first lesson is different from the others. First lesson says, superiors are meant to protect subordinates, not curse them. If Shringi claims that he is a superior, Brahmana, then he should protect the subordinate class, which is Kshatriya. Are they meant to curse subordinates? Like Indra is a demigod for giving showers of rains. He is supposed to protect all the Jivarashis in this world. Is he supposed to, give trouble to the Jivasis? So this is one very important point, that when we claim that we are superior to somebody, we have to ask, am I playing the role of a parent for my subordinates? If somebody is envious of subordinates, they are not playing the role of a parent. For example, if one of my subordinates is growing in his life, becoming almost equal to me, if I become envious of him and I try to give him trouble, am I playing the role of a parent? No, that's the point here. That one should, if you claim somebody is a subordinate, then the superior should have love and affection for the subordinate like a parent. Then only their doing good to them or their instructing them has any sense. Now let's go ahead and see. Translation, please read it.
Then the Rishi prayed to the following all-pervading personality of Godhead to pardon his immature boy, who had no intelligence and who committed the great sin of cursing a person who has completely free from all sins.
Who was completely free from all sins.
Who was subordinate and who deserved to be protected.
Now Samyakrishna prayed to Supreme Lord, "Oh Lord, my son is a small boy, he is a foolish boy, he is inexperienced and uncultured. Please kindly forgive his mistake. Please protect him for his mistake. After all, he is a lad, he is a small child. Children's mistakes should be forgiven. Just like Brahmaji prayed to Supreme Lord, "My dear Lord, I am inside this Brahmanda, like a baby is inside the womb of a mother. Sometimes the baby in the womb of a mother gives kicks to the mother from inside the womb. And the mothers experience that. If you ask them, they can tell you. A pregnant mother. But the mother doesn't take those offenses of the child very seriously. After all, it's her child only. After the child is born, she's not going to slap the child. Why did you kick inside?" Similarly, when Brahma said, "I am also like a baby in the womb." And it's a very appropriate example, isn't it? Because Brahma is also inside the Brahmanda. I am like a baby in the womb, so please forgive me, he was telling. Similarly, he is praying to Lord, "Please forgive my child. He has committed a big blunder." Read the purport.
Everyone is responsible for his own action, either pious or sinful. Rishi Samika could foresee
that. It's a very weighty sentence. Everyone is responsible for his own action, either pious or sinful. See, every one of us, we all are coming from different backgrounds. How many millions of lifetimes we have led in this world, we ourselves don't know. And our private life is not so much known to everybody. How many people know about our inner status or our life? So every thought, every word, every deed we do, we carry the consequences of that like a baggage with us in our subconscious mind. We have to carry it. That's why we have to think and act and speak very carefully. Pious or impious, what we do, we have to be watchful. Go ahead.
Rishi Samika could foresee that his son had committed
because we can't have a policeman standing to us, our side all the time and telling us, "This is right, this is wrong, do this, do that." So ultimately what? You study scriptures, hear classes, and then you are given chance to live out your life the way you want to live. You have the free will always. So the responsibility is emphasizing. And now you read Rishi
Samika could foresee that his son had committed a great sin by cursing Maharaj Parikshit, who deserved to be protected by the brahmanas, for he was a pious ruler and completely free from all sins because of his being a first-class devotee of the Lord. When an offense is done unto the devotee of the Lord, it is very difficult to overcome the reaction. The brahmanas being at the head of the social orders are meant to give protection to their subordinates and not to curse them.
So 2 points Prabhupada is making here. One should be very careful not to commit offense to a devotee, and if offense is somehow unknowingly committed, one should seek forgiveness immediately. Because otherwise the reaction will come. And you see, in the spiritual world, the only rule is prem. The only prohibition is irsya. Nothing else. All other rules, vidhi and nishedha, are all subordinate to these two. Prem and irsya. So, if we become envious of Vaishnavas and offend them, it has to be immediately rectified at once. Otherwise the reaction will sink deeper into our system, and that anartha will not allow us to progress very nicely. Even up to prema stage, it will not leave us, the consequence of that. So one should fear the mahad atikrama, or offending a devotee, he says. That's one point he makes. And then another point he makes is that the brahmanas are the head, so they are meant to give protection to subordinates, not to curse them. And then Prabhupada says there are occasions when a brahmana may furiously curse a subordinate kshatriya, but in the case of Maharaj Parikshit, there were no grounds, as already explained. Of course, the kshatriyas used to fear the brahmanas' curses, Brahma Shap, as we say, no? Like you hear in that story of Sarmishta and Devyani. Sarmishta's father was fearing, Shukracharya may curse me. So kshatriyas used to fear. And brahmanas had the power also in their curse. When they would curse, it would bear fruit. And then it goes on like this. And then he says, go ahead, read this. By cursing a king.
By cursing a king, the foolish Shringi had committed not only a sin, but also the greatest offense.
Sin is on the material platform. Offense is on the spiritual platform.
Therefore, the Rishi could foresee that only the Supreme Personality of Godhead could save his boy from his sinful act. He therefore directly prayed for pardon from the Supreme Lord, who alone can undo a thing which is impossible to change.
Can you give example of how somebody's offense was rectified by the Supreme Lord? Any example? Yeah?
Amogha.
Amogha's offense was rectified by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Very good. Thank you. Also there is Aparadha Bhanjan Stali. There is a place where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dissolved the aparadhas of many, many offenders. They all went and sought forgiveness from him, and he freed them from the offenses, and then later on they all became blissful in Krishna consciousness. So if somebody very repentantly begs the Lord to free one from offenses, Lord can free. Any other example?
Jagai Madai.
Jagai Madai, very good. Of course, Jagai Madai didn't commit any offenses to Vaishnavas. They only committed sinful activities, but they were freed from all sinful activities. Yeah. Any other example? Yeah. Gopal Chappal. Of course, Gopal Chappal was not forgiven by Lord Chaitanya directly, but Lord Chaitanya told him, because he offended Srivas Pandit, he said 10 million lifetimes you will suffer, and all that he said and went away, Nimai Pandit. But later on, Nimai Pandit told him, seeing that he has a changed attitude, proper attitude, he told him, you beg forgiveness from Srivas. When Srivas forgave him, then he became free. Yeah. Ajamil. Yeah. Ajamil also committed sinful activities. He chanted inoffensively. Yeah. Indra is a very famous example. Yeah.
Durasmuni offending Ambarish Maharaj.
Durasmuni offending Ambarish Maharaj. Lord Vishnu. Of course, Lord Vishnu guided him back to Ambarish. But we can say safely that one can approach the Supreme Lord. If one is unable to approach the devotee, like one devotee came and wept, cried to me. He said, Prabhuji, I offended one devotee, but now he has died now. He has passed away 2 years ago. Now, people tell me that I have to go to him only to seek forgiveness. Where will I catch him now? Whether he is in spiritual world or he is in another devotee family, I don't know. I told him, okay, you chant the holy names, you go to the Lord and you pray to him. You are so repentant, I think God will easily forgive you, I told him. So, if you are not able to trace the devotee where he is, like Brihaspati could not be traced by Indra. So what did Indra do then? When Indra went to Brahma, yeah. He went to Brahma and asked him what he should do now. So one can go to superiors or one can go to Lord and seek forgiveness. Yeah. So pray to Supreme Lord. Other Sachi?
Sachi means offended Advaita Acharya.
Oh, yeah. That is a very transcendental pastime. As such, she didn't offend, but Lord Chaitanya wanted to show that even if Mother Sachi wants love of God, she should not offend like that. Yeah? Yes, Krishna. Brahma offended whom? Or Brahma was offended by somebody? Yeah? Brahma Vimohan Leela. Very good. One Haribol will tell for Krishna. Haribol. That's correct, yeah. Brahma separated Krishna's devotees from Krishna, by keeping them in this thing. Yeah, it was an offense. That's why you see that picture of Brahma kneeling down, offering prayers to Krishna, seeking forgiveness. Beautiful. And Krishna forgave him later on. Thank you. See this? The question may be raised here. Since it was desire of Lord that the Parikshit be put into awkward position so that he might be delivered from material existence, then why was a Brahmana son made responsible for this offensive act? Somebody can ask, no? Hey, if Lord is playing with his own devotee Parikshit by making him put a snake and all that, unnecessarily why should ultimately the blame be given to a Shringi, Brahmana boy? Somebody may ask. So he's saying here, the answer is that the offensive act was performed by a child only, so that he could be excused very easily. And thus the prayer of the father was accepted by the Lord. But if the question is raised, why the Brahmana community as a whole was made responsible for allowing Kali into the world affairs? The answer is given in the Varaha Purana, that the demons who acted inimically towards the Supreme Lord, but were not killed by the Lord, they were allowed to take birth in the families of Brahmanas in the age of Kali. So there is one verse, Kalim Asurim Kalim Ashritya Brahma, like that there is one verse, I don't know, it's there in Jaiva Dharma, he quotes it also, our Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He says, in the age of Kali Yuga, the Asuras of the previous ages, they were given the body of Brahmanas. The reason was, in the previous 3 ages, they could not perfect their life, they were all demons. So, Lord thought that at least in Kali Yuga, I will give them Brahmana bodies, so Shichanam Shimatam Gehe, Yoga Brashtavi. So, they will be born in Brahmana families and the atmosphere will be conducive for them to turn to devotion service. So, Lord gave them Brahmana bodies. But these fellows sometimes maintain their asuric mentality from the Purva, Janma Karma and all that. So, that's why some Brahmanas behave like Asuras. They become like Brahma Rakshas after getting Brahmana bodies also. And then Prabhupada is saying here, the all-merciful Lord gave them a chance to have their births in the families of pious Brahmanas so that they could progress towards salvation. But the demons, instead of utilizing the good opportunity, misused the Brahminical culture due to being puffed up by vanity in becoming Brahmanas. The typical example is son of Samik Rishi. And all foolish sons of Brahmanas are warned herein not to become foolish as Shringi and be always on guard against demoniac qualities, which means those who are amongst the people who are sitting here, many of us are likely to be Brahmanas. I will not ask for a raise of hand. But if you are a Brahmana, we have to safeguard our demoniac mentality. Like Samik Rishi's son Shringi, because of his misbehavior, he is showing us by his example what not to do. Do not fall prey to this tendency of being demoniac. The foolish boy was of course excused by the Lord due to being a child. But others who may not have a father like Samik Rishi will be put into great difficulty if they misuse the advantages obtained by Brahmana. So how many of you have a father like Samik Rishi? So better beware, he is saying. See Prabhupada purports, so wonderful. Read this point. Next one, devotees are never
inclined to counteract personal insult, and a powerful devotee never misuses the power for personal benefit.
It's a very important verse, only we are losing time. Please repeat this verse. Tiraskrita vipralabdaha Shabdaha kshipta hata api Nasyatat pratikurvanti Tadbhaktaha prabhavopihi. Beautiful verse. See, Tiraskrita, if a Vaishnava is defamed, Vipralabda, which means he is cheated, Shabtaha, being cursed, sharp, Kshiptaha, being disturbed, Hata, even if somebody is killed also. Can you give examples for each of this? Tiraskrita, which Vaishnava was defamed, but he did not feel bad? Quickly, Srivas, Thakur. Vipralabda, which Vaishnava was cheated?
Pandavas were cheated.
Pandavas were cheated, very correct. Shabtaha, which Vaishnava was cursed by somebody? Gopal Chakravarti also cursed Haridas Thakur, your nose will be cut in 3 days, no? Who else? Chitraketu was cursed, yeah. Nadmuni was cursed also, okay. But after becoming a Vaishnava, Chitraketu was a Vaishnava, still he was cursed. Kshipta means who was disturbed by negligence. Kshipta means disturbed by negligence. Who was neglected? But that time he was not a Vaishnava. Shukadeva Goswami was neglected, yeah. Also this Avanti Brahmana. Hata api, which Vaishnava was about to be killed?
Haridas
Prahalad.
Haridas Thakur.
Haridas Thakur. Jada Bharat, yeah, all of them, you see. Vritrasura also, he was killed only. Nasya tat pati kurvanti. These people would never retaliate. Tat bhaktaha prabhavopihi, he is saying. They are so powerful. The devotees of the Lord are so forbearing that even though they are defamed, cheated, cursed, disturbed, neglected, or even killed, they are never inclined to avenge themselves. And then Prabhupada says here, Lord does not forgive a person who has committed an offense at the feet of a devotee. If Maharaj Parikshit would counter-curse the boy, he might be saved. But he knew that a pure devotee is careless about worldly advantages or reverses. As such, the devotees are never inclined to counteract personal defamation, curses, negligence. So I learnt a big lesson from this when I first read this verse. Because sometimes we have a tendency to retaliate, but a Vaishnava should be very tolerant when it comes to our own, somebody doing these things to us. And then Prabhupada is saying here. See here Prabhupada is saying. As such, the devotees are never inclined to counteract personal defamation. As far as such things are concerned, in personal affairs, the devotees do not care for them. But in the case of their being performed against the Lord and his other devotees, then devotees take a very strong action. It was a personal affair, and therefore Samik Rishi knew that the king would not take counteraction. Thus, there was no alternative than to place an appeal to the Lord for immature boy. It is not only that, it's not that only the brahmanas are powerful enough to award curses or blessings. The devotee of the Lord, even though he may not be a brahmana, is more powerful than a brahmana. But a powerful devotee never misuses the power for personal benefit. You know, Saubhari Muni cursed Garuda. Did Garuda curse back? No. That means he's a Vaishnava. See, Vaishnava doesn't curse back. But a powerful devotee has the power to curse, but he doesn't utilize that advantage. He never misuses the power for personal benefit. Whatever, like for example, Ambarish Maharaj was about to be killed by Durvasa Muni's demon. But did Ambarish take any action? He's a Vaishnava. For personal account, they won't take any action. Whatever power the devotee may have is always utilized in service towards the Lord and his devotees only. Like Narsimananda Brahmachari has the power to create a flower bed road. So he's using it in Lord's service. If devotee has a mystic power or whatever powers they may have, they may use it in Krishna's service, but not for personal power, personal enjoyment. Last lesson, quickly, we have 2 minutes only. Please read it. We'll finish it up.
Convert an awkward situation into an advantageous one. And when everything is done in relation with the Lord, then no one is put into difficulty.
Read it, translation.
The sage thus regretted the sin committed by his own son. He did not take the insult paid by the king very seriously. Maharaj Parikshit also did not mind the curse offered to him by a foolish brahmana. On the contrary, and by the great will of the Lord, Maharaj Parikshit achieved the highest perfection of life through the grace of Srila Sukadeva Goswami. Actually, it was the desire of the Lord. And Maharaj Parikshit, Rishi Shamika and his son Shringi were all instrumental in fulfilling the desire of the Lord. No one of them were put into difficulty because everything was done in relation with the Supreme Person.
Yes, because everything was done in relation with Krishna, he says. That's all, we have finished, I think. So, I discussed with Gaurang Prabhu. I'll just tell you one beautiful verse from Ramayana. For how to take the blame on oneself and not criticizing others. Some lessons before, you remember? Taking responsibility. He told one nice verse from Ramayana. This is spoken by Bharata. Na mantaraya na cha matarasya dosho na rajan na cha raghavasya mat papam yeko hi nimittamasit vana praveshe raghunandanasya. He's saying vana praveshe raghunandanasya. The only reason for Raghunandan, Lord Ramchandra, going to forest is na mantaraya. Mantara is not the reason. Na cha matarasya. Not my mother Kaikeyi. He's saying dosho na rajan. And I cannot blame Dasharatha also. Nacha Raghavasya. And I cannot blame Lord Ram for foolishly accepting the order of the father and going to forest. Because Raghava, Lord Ram has to follow the order of the father. He is a righteous person. And the king had to obey to Kaikeyi's request because he is a Satyabadha. Is it not true? Mat papam ekohi nimittam asit, he's saying. It's all the sins that I have committed, because of which, Lord Ram had to go to forest, like that he said. Yeah, so he was telling this. Anyway, we have arrived at the time, 6 o'clock now. So, we have completed the chapter a bit hurriedly. The last part, I think most of it is discussed quite well. So this chapter is a very important chapter, especially for those, like you see there are three personalities involved. Samik Rishi, Parikshit and Shringi. Samik Rishi took responsibility and Parikshit also, here we have not read about Parikshit. Parikshit goes back to his palace and he is telling himself, he feels very guilty. And Prabhupada says, repentance comes in the heart of a good soul. And he says, my dear Lord, may some Brahma shap fall on me and let me die and let me lose all my opulences for the mistake I have committed. He's such a good soul. And at that point of time, nobody told him about this Brahma shap. Before that he knew it. So, we all are also put in situations like this where, we have to learn from these verses how in such kind of situations, these lessons, 20 lessons, my request to all of you, this is available with Antardeep Prabhu. If you want, I will type out Antardeep Prabhu's If you write to him in this, if you write him in this email, he will keep you posted of all your these things. I mean this, just now whatever I was reading from, so what I am planning to do in future also, now this is over now, 18 chapters over. I generally go through the Bhagavatam, I pull out the whole chapter and I underline, highlight the yellow highlight, and some I have done red highlight. Red highlight means very important. Yellow highlight means important. Section of purport. And I have also given the heading in between with numbers. So this is the same style I am going to follow in future also. So the next chapter I am planning to take is Dhruva Maharaj killing the Yakshas. Very interesting chapter. And then Swayambhu Manu and Kubera giving advice. So how we should not become a victim to excessive anger. It's a beautiful chapter. Personally, I immensely benefited from the chapter. I don't know how many have become angry, I don't know. But I used to become angry, so I read the chapter very well. If you like it, I'll go. If most of you are very soft-hearted people, then we'll go to some other chapter. Any of you feel you would like, how many feel it's a good chapter to discuss? Oh, really? Good number. Okay. So a good company, no problem. Okay, then we will do that next. So I will make the chapter and send it to Antardeep Prabhu and he will mail it to all of you. If you write to this, they should write to this mail or they have to give the mail to you? Yeah, if you write to this mail, he will send you. Yeah. Achha, which day it is? It is next month. What is the day? May 8th, and Narsinga Chaturthi is? Oh, right. I was thinking we will do irrespective of the forthcoming festivals because on the festival days they get